actually got a story about Zab Judah. So the first time I ever met Zab Judah was in the boxing gym, and he was gonna spar Daniel Jacobs, and Daniel Jacobs was an amateur at the time. And my father took me to the gym because he had a fighter by the name of Edward Valdez who would
Valdez.
He was just a journeyman.
Okay, all right.
He never made it too far. But so my father went to, at the time he was kind of like bringing him up. So he was like, "Yo, this is my fighter, this and the third." I was like, "Oh, okay." And he was like, "Yo, we're gonna see Zab Judah and Daniel Jacobs spar." And Daniel Jacobs at the time was an amateur. This was like around 06, I want to say.
Okay.
06, 05. Don't quote me on the year. And I was like, okay, I'll watch a sparring match. I knew who Zab Judah was.
Of course.
And, man, Daniel Jacobs was doing really good.
He held his own, yeah.
Yeah.
I knew that was coming.
And then afterwards, you know, my father's like, "Oh, you know, go get an autograph from Zab." I was kind of nervous. I didn't do it. I just went, shook his hand, told him I was a fan. He said thank you. He kept it moving. Not rude at all.
Yeah.
He was cool about it. And, like, I want to say, like, 10 years later, probably 10 years later, more so, I run into Daniel Jacobs, and I bring up, "Yo, bro, I saw you spar Zab Judah back in like 04, 05, 06. And he was like, "You were there?" Like, he remembered that sparring match.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
he was like, "You were there?" He goes,
It was
"Yeah."
a big moment for him.
Yeah, he was like, "Oh, I remember I was like around 16, 17, and I sparred this." You know, this guy was like undisputed welterweight champion
Sure.
at one point. Yeah, and I held my own. I did my thing. And he was so excited that I was there. And that, like, he had a witness almost.
Yeah.
It felt. I was like, yeah, he was there with his friend. And he was telling his friend, like, yeah, he was there. You see, I was telling you. And I'm like, yeah, I was there. It's true. And I don't know Daniel Jacobs, so, like, it would have been a random thing to lie about, you know?
Funny story about Daniel Jacobs. He was I noticed him the first time I saw him was at my very first amateur match.
Okay.
It was the Metros Championship. It was in November 2003. It was in Long Island. It was at like I believe it was a PAL, Police Athletic League gym.
Okay.
Right? And I remember Danny Jacobs because he's a unique looking guy. I don't. It's like you see him and you'll remember him. I'm not sure what it is exactly about him, but. It was him and Jadon Codrington. Remember him?
I remember
the
him.
chin
Yes.
checker.
Yeah,
they were both at my my first match, and I was at 201. And Codrington, I think was 178. And I remember thinking that I might have to fight that dude because he looked pretty big. He looked close to my size. And then my trainer said, "No, that's Jadon. He's 178." And that was the first time I saw Danny and Jadon. I think Danny snuck into that tournament. I think he was too young, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't know nothing about that.
I think he may have been like used someone else's book or something. Because when I checked, I was like, wait a second, he fought that night, but I think he was only 16. I don't know, but you know they do that a lot in amateurs.